Hi everyone, it's March 30th, 2020, and this is Jeanne-Marie Taylor from Jeanne-Marie Taylor Muse on Facebook. Welcome to this latest message, and thank you for spending your time with me. I'm really excited. I'm getting close to 50 subscribers, and that means that hopefully there's something here that's going right, something here that you are hearing that you like. So please feel free to always tell me how I can do things even better to make my offerings, my content, more something that you would like to listen to every day. You can do that by leaving me a comment below. So let's get right down to business, because quite honestly, this is the second time that I'm recording this. The first version was too long. I tried to upload it and it didn't work. So I'm going to try to keep this a little bit shorter. Today's topic is really important to me. It's close to my heart, and it might be to yours as well. And that topic is discernment. Discernment and participation, and maybe even protest. Maybe even the importance of protest at this time in our nation's history and the history of the world. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You know, a lot of people are acting as though it's negative to be talking about staying engaged, that it's negative to be offering critiques of how our U.S. government is handling things, that it's negative to be talking about how we could do things better. No, no, no. It's very, very spiritual, and it's so important. And let me just talk about that for a minute. So, first of all, I want to address something that I hear sometimes from my spiritual friends or my fellow spiritual teachers. It is extremely important, everyone, and this applies to everyone. It is extremely important to not just be getting your information about COVID-19 from YouTube, even from me. It's really important that you get it directly from reliable and trustworthy news outlets. News outlets that are not going to be biased, news outlets that are not going to be presenting the view that everything is okay, that everything is under control. You know, we want to have a little bit of pushback on our government. That is not a bad thing. It is not a negative thing. It is not an unspiritual thing. It is, in fact, a patriotic thing. We all must be awake and engaged. That begins with all of us taking the time to inform ourselves about what is going on. I also want to mention, when it comes to discernment, that I believe it's important that we all give ourselves permission to go beyond the controls, the strictures, the advice that we are getting from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and from our U.S. government. Well, why am I saying that? Well, because I really think it's so important, as do you, I'm sure, to stop the spread of COVID-19. And there are times, and we know this, those of us who study history, there are always times when our government, for well-meaning reasons, for well-intentioned purposes at times, when they don't tell us the full truth, when they don't tell us the full array of steps that we could take to protect ourselves in some way. There's a very real need for our governments, and I understand this completely, not to fully share everything. And what am I getting at? I don't have any sort of conspiracy theory here. I just want to put out the thought that, some of us have been, actually all of us as a nation have been told that we don't need to wear masks. And there is a video out, and it's highly reliable, with very credible, well-trained, accredited medical professionals, epidemiologists, medical doctors of all types and stripes, who are telling us that yes, it actually does help to have masks, that masks help to protect against the spread. And that would help us, I believe, to bring our percentages down even more. So I believe that sometimes we're not being told all of these things because, for example, we live in a culture or perhaps a world in which when we tell people that masks would be helpful, well, we then might have people starting to hoard masks, right? To hoard certain supplies. But I do want to make you aware that you don't have to have a mask. You could wear a bandana. You could do any number of other things. But it is starting to become more and more a matter of record that it helps to protect you if I cover my mouth and my nose, right? Because I might have the virus not be showing symptoms, but I might be still breathing on other people and spreading the virus anyway. So that's how I can protect you. It's how you can protect me. It's how we can protect each other. So I want you right now to start giving yourself permission. There are a lot of people who are saying, like, oh, it's fear-based to talk like this. No, there's nothing wrong with you deciding that for the good of you, your individual healthcare situation, you might be an immunocompromised person, you might have diabetes or a heart condition. There's nothing wrong with you starting to wear a mask and asking others around you to please do the same. There's nothing wrong with that. So we need to be able to have the ability of discernment, the ability to stay informed, the ability to go beyond the suggestions that are being offered to us. Another thing that's really important right now, I'm getting some pushback against some statements of protest that I have posted. And to anyone who would like to protest against my protesting, that's fine. You're entitled to do that. And if you're respectful, I will leave your comment posted on my page. However, I think it's extremely important that we Americans not get confused. Just because there is a state of crisis doesn't mean that we have to adhere 100% to, that we have to always say nice things about the people who are leading our United States government. And if that offends somebody, if somebody thinks, oh, well, he's doing the best that he can, his cabinet is doing the best they can, okay, you're entitled to believe that, but please don't have a problem, I would say, if you have your fellow Americans who do think that some of the policies are unjust, some of the policies are erroneous, or that the response has been late, which it has been. It is a matter of fact that the current administration disbanded some of the services and offices that were needed to have and mount a vigorous response to this crisis that might have helped to stem the tide earlier. That's just a matter of fact. If you choose not to acknowledge that fact, that's okay. But please do not mind it if your fellow Americans are up to date on the facts and if we want to make our voices heard. It is not a matter of disrespect. It is not a matter of not bonding together. We Americans and people from all over the world can absolutely walk and chew gum at the same time. We are capable of bonding with each other to help COVID-19 be defeated while also registering normal, healthy protest when we see something that's, maybe some guidelines that are not going far enough, or when we feel that our families, ourselves, our loved ones, our communities are not being adequately protected. Not only is there nothing wrong with that, it's extremely important right now that we all understand that just because we can't congregate physically to do protests that we might want to do, it's really important to make our voice heard to our congressional representatives. We live in a democratic republic. We live in a democracy, and our voices are extremely important. Our leaders are elected. They are supposed to do things that are in the best interest of all of us. And when we start to feel that our leaders are not being just, when they are starting to block or prohibit or inhibit all Americans, including those who don't have health care, from getting certain tests or getting certain treatments, when Americans are not being treated fairly and equally, it's not just important, it's patriotic. It's patriotic and it's very spiritual to register protest. So let us please not have the false dichotomy, the false choice that would tell us that we have to be quiet right now, that we have to just bond together and just support our dear leader. And dear leader, by the way, is something that's borrowed from how people in leadership are addressed in places where there are real dictatorships, where people are not allowed to protest. So I don't want us to go in that direction as a nation, just like North Korea, for example, where they refer to their leader as dear leader, and where we all have to support the ego of whoever is in a position of leadership. That's not who we are as Americans. Americans value protest. We understand that women wouldn't have the right to vote. African Americans wouldn't have a right to vote or to hold property, and on and on and on, if we did not protest. So I really hope that we can stop having other spiritual teachers, other spiritual leaders, trying to make us believe that we all have to be peaceful, lovey-dovey people who never have any problem or disagreement or concern with our current elected administrators of our nation. That, I think, is horribly misguided. We are incarnated here on the earth plane with a brain. With a brain. And when we are receiving messages, input, when there's a bill that's passed that's not benefiting all Americans, where there is unjustness that's baked into the cake of a bill that is supposed to help all Americans right now, there is nothing wrong. My fellow Americans, my fellow citizens of the world, there is nothing wrong with protest. Let us never say that we cannot protest. That is when we start to drift toward a situation that none of us wants. We are all allowed to have our perspective and to make our voices heard and to speak up for those in our society who maybe don't have the internet, maybe don't have a Facebook or a YouTube account, who maybe have trouble getting their voice heard and out there. Right? There's nothing wrong with us speaking up for the rights of the poor. There's nothing wrong with us protesting to say that more people should have the right to get tested. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. So let us be open and expansive to people's individuality. And when we want to protest, when we want to participate in our democracy, let us not shoot each other down. Let us lift each other up. Let us lift up all voices. Let us understand that it is very helpful to people who are poor, or people who are black or brown, persons of color, people who are underprivileged at times and in some ways. It's very helpful to certain segments of our society, no matter what color we are, no matter what race or creed. If we can lift all Americans up at this time, and there's nothing wrong with us speaking up when we see an injustice being done. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is this. Is it important for us to keep a high vibration right now? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, my friends. But it is a false choice. It is a false paradox. It is a false dichotomy to act as though we cannot be high vibrational in registering protest and in demanding justice for all. We can. And matter of fact, we're going to do it. I'm going to show you today in this recording. How do we do that? How do we get back up to a high vibration when we have been protesting? Well, first of all, I'm not so sure that we fall in our vibrational frequency when we protest. Now, if we start to be angry and we stay stuck in that anger, do we lower our vibration? I would say yes. If we remain for many minutes, hours, or days, or weeks, or months in a state of constant protest, constant anger, are we lowering our vibration? Yes, my friends. But please don't believe spiritual teachers who want to tell you that you need to be constantly, oh, I just love and light and love and light. You know, love and light are beautiful. We all know that. We can use our common sense here. If we don't have a little bit of less than light, how do we recognize light? If we don't have a shadow, how do you know that there's light? Right? And we know also that when we take the time to ask for justice, to demand justice is done, that helps to lift the vibration of the people who are being oppressed, the people who are not receiving the testing because they don't have adequate health care, because in this nation that hasn't yet been a priority enough. So there's nothing low vibration about registering a protest. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with signing a digital petition at change.org. There's nothing wrong with voicing your opinion to your friends on Facebook, saying, I think that this is not being handled well. I'm concerned about the fact that the very office that handles pandemic responses was disbanded by this administration months ago. There's nothing wrong with being aware and sharing that point of view. That's not low vibration, my friends. That's not low vibration. Because when we do that, we're helping to bring light and awareness to other people. We're helping to inform, to elucidate, to illuminate, and to uplift. And that's very important right now. So let us not presume that we have to get into a low vibrational state in order to take part in our democracy. I reject that. It's not an either or. And furthermore, if this kind of discussion makes you uncomfortable, if it makes you feel like you're having to lower yourself in some way, well, there's a very quick way to fix it, because our makeup as human beings is so adaptable. So what we're going to do for the rest of this recording is I'm going to lift your vibration up again. I want you to see how easy it is to flow between different states. So you can be in a state of love and bliss and universal harmony. You can be in that state, and you can, if you want to view it as diving down to a lower state, which I don't view it as, but if you would like to view it as you're going into a lower vibration in order to participate in democracy, that is fine. You can view it that way if you would like, and I will show you how to get your vibration back up. So I want to invite you now, take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. And repeat after me. Oh, my angels, my guides, my guardians, thank you. Thank you for your presence. My Creator, thank you for your presence. I invite you into my heart, into my life force at this moment and for the rest of my day. I invite you to lift my vibration. I know that I am always supported and loved. And I ask you to ground me deeply to the center of the earth and to shape my thoughts and my feelings today in an uplifting way, in a way that will help me embrace all, in a way that will help me embrace all with love and embrace myself with love and bringing bliss to me and to everyone around me that I contact. I invite that state of bliss. I invite that upliftment. And if anyone listening right now would like to, I have a very strong crystal right next to me. It's so strong, people in my remote distance learning class yesterday were able to feel its powers. And you can just invite the crystal that I'm holding right now. It's right over my chest right now, right next to the recorder. And just invite it to send its love and its bliss energies over to you across the miles that separate us. Because we really are energetically so close. And this is a very powerful crystal, and you can just say, please, I really need a dose of that energy. I want to get up to a high vibration. And just fill your lungs up with the love vibrations, the crystalline healing vibrations. And you can imagine yourself floating above the clouds with everything going on the earth below you. And this is how we do it, folks. This is how we lift ourselves to a higher vibration. At a moment's notice, look how quick this was, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So this is how we can do it. So I want everyone to know. Feel your feelings if you are frustrated with things that are going on. It's okay to voice it, and it's okay to protest. And if you feel that doing so brings you to a lower vibration, I've just given you the understanding and the experience that you can very quickly come back up to a higher level. Thank you for listening. I'll be with you again soon. This is Jeanne-Marie Taylor of Jeanne-Marie Taylor Muse on Facebook.